Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, where I'm your host Chris, and I've got the TNT takes for you on Million Dollar Island, episode 7. That's right, we're back with top 5 takes here, and what a bit of action we had here in this last episode. It was actually quite exciting to watch. I feel like the show is slowly but surely starting to get to like the playoffs of the season. If you're a sports fan, in the beginning of the season we had so many players and people in there that we didn't know, we didn't care that much about. But slowly but surely, when I'm seeing these scenes, I see people in my peripheral vision sort of sitting on the sidelines, watching some of these players compete that we have now got some sort of history with and we know who they are. That to me now gives me some sort of a familiarity when I'm watching the show. And I do feel like the stakes were upped here in this episode a lot with the fact that we had D-Day as well. But before we get into the top 5 takes here for this episode, please consider subscribing, please consider liking, hitting the notification bell and all that good stuff so we can help this channel continue to grow on to 2,000 subscribers and more, so we can add more shows here to the channel. But thank you for being back. I really appreciate everybody that already support this channel in any way that they can by subscribing and commenting and liking the videos that we put out. All right, so takeaway number 1 is, it was Corey's reign of power. How did he do compared to some of the other people that have had power before in the game? We spoke about this a little bit in the previous top 5 takes, where I said that, when you play this game, it's such a random event that takes place for you to gain this power in the game, and that you don't know when you're going to get this power again. I mean, he's got a massive opportunity to actually win a spin, but even he has only once been in power. And I thought Corey, in my opinion, probably played the best game so far of anybody that have had this power come their way. Like his camp, log camp, coming into this round, they're on their knees. They're barely getting through the game right now because they don't have food and they need anything that they can get to get ahead in the game and continue to be there, because if they can survive one more day, one more round, things can change. They could potentially wipe out another camp. There could potentially be another survival challenge like the one we had in this episode, where you can win some food from the game. It's been very scarce, like, in some old school Survivor seasons and maybe some of the Australian Survivor seasons as well, there is an opportunity to at least play for reward, play for food, but that has not been a part of this game. Whatever they scavenged right at the beginning when they had the marooning, that has been what they've had to survive on up until this point. So Corey uses the little bit of power that he has as a bargaining tool, and he goes to both Top Camp and Vine Camp, and he gives them both the exact same deal. Listen, if you can give me a little bit of food, if you could potentially help us with 2 rations or 2 meals in camp, I will consider saving you guys and not putting you in for D-Day. And to me, this is a beautiful thing that he did here. Like, I think this is 100% what he should have done in this point, is leverage the little bit of power that he has to help his camp move forward in the game. And it was interesting to see how some people really were offended by the fact that he would put that out there. For instance, Yasmin is someone that comes to mind, where she said it was like bribery and it didn't sit right with her, which, to me, when I look at it, I think to myself, Yasmin, have you watched reality TV, competitive reality TV before? Because all's fair in love and war. This is strategy. This is the way the game should be played. And I thought Corey did the exact right thing there with trying to leverage and bargain for food. So it was a great move. Different on the other side, we have Chelsea, who he is friends with in Top Camp, and she does end up going back to camp, or back to her camp when he leaves, and pleads his case and says, hey, if we can save some people here, let's do it, And Brett, sitting all high and mighty with his safety and all the bracelets, he doesn't like the idea that they're going to give food away, because he knows he's probably going to be there until the end. But there are about 5 or 6 people in his camp that are in danger. So to me, the fact that they played ball, gave a little bit of food, was the complete right move here to try and save some people in that camp. And it's interesting how, at least when we see Brett in the game, like I love the fact that he's a villain. I love the fact that there is someone for us to shout against. And like I said, a lot of the times the villain is the person that I like the most. So having him there definitely adds so much spice to the show, and I really enjoy that. But at some point, you got to think about your camp. Like, I do feel like he's not going to win any friends down the line the way he's thinking. But again, he said Chelsea made this decision on her own when she went out there to go and give the food to Corey's camp. So I don't know. We didn't see that. So we're getting snippets of what happened. We don't see anybody outside of Brett being unhappy about the fact that she went and gave the food. And I understand why Brett's unhappy, because he's safe. He's there until the end at this stage. So he wants all the food he can get. But I felt like, again, it showed a bit of a selfishness there from Brett, not thinking about the rest of his camp, which is okay. I mean, he's playing for himself, but it might come back to bite him in the butt. And I don't know how many friends he's going to have if other people are seeing through that when it comes to Brett. All right, takeaway number 2. Let's talk a little bit about the challenge here. In the arena, they had a challenge where they had to go and stand on a plank, like almost like this pirate plank that they're on, and they had this thing that was pushing them in the back and made it harder for them to be able to remain on this podium, this plank, before they would fall into the water. And the surprise element, or the twist to the challenge that they had, was the fact that they had questions about their fellow castaways there on the island that they had to answer. And I like this. I like this a lot because it showed that the social game and getting to know people actually does matter in this game, because people who paid attention and people who bothered to go and talk to people from other camps, they had the answers in regards to how many kids Brett had, for instance, or the other questions that were asked. And I like the challenge. It looked painful as hell. It definitely wouldn't be something that I would be enjoying up there. You had to have, I think, a certain level of flexibility like Yasmin had, and she stuck in there long. Hats off to Jack for getting into third place there. An interesting bit of rivalry between both of them there, with Yasmin saying, I just want to beat Jack because we had some words or something in camp. Why did we not get to see that? Like, I'd love to know why they were, at odds with each other in camp. And maybe we did see it and I forgot. So let me know in the comments below if I sort of forgot what the friction was there. But it was interesting to see them battle it out, and then Jonty coming from nowhere to win this challenge for his granddad and for people back at home. We know that he wants to take this money and put some of it back into leukemia research. So it's a definitely a great thing that he wants to do. And just for that alone, I think that it's always great when people have a larger cause that they're fighting for, larger than just getting the money themselves. Not that you need that, but it's cool to see him, do really well and continue here in this game. But he kind of mentions that towards the end of this, maybe now he is going to be a big target in the game, because I think by the end of this, he ends up with $90,000 on his wrist. So he's going to be this big target for people to potentially take a shot at in the future, because he doesn't have safety, and that's a lot of money on his wrist. So he might have to go into the arena quite a few times now to defend himself until he could potentially become the richest person out there. All right, takeaway number 3. Let's talk about Jason's move in the game. He was in log camp, wasn't in any danger, because Corey would have kept everybody safe in his camp if he could have. But he took a gamble. He wanted to go in there and potentially win all these bracelets and bring it back to log camp so they had more power in the game. I believe they already had like 48 or 49% of the likelihood of winning one of these spins. So that would have put them close to 60% if he did win this. And I love this move. I love this move for every single person that is in log camp that is not Jason. And I'd love to know who the person was that told him, hey, you should go in there, and like egged them on to do this. Could have even been his twin brother here in this specific episode. But for Jason itself, it's a horrible move because, if you think about it, the only sort of gain in this move was for Logcamp, who would have only lost one bracelet. But for Jason, he had a 10% chance of walking out of this thing as the winner. And he must have had a hell of a lot of confidence in his own ability to go out there and smash whatever challenge was thrown his way. For me personally, I would have sat back. I would not want to go into this. I'd much rather go into a 1v3 or something like that. I don't know why he did this to himself. Maybe, if he listens to this, let me know. There might be a lot we didn't see. But for me personally, I think for Logcamp, this was a slam dunk to put him in there, have a champion go out there potentially to bring some bracelets back to camp. But for Jason as an individual, this did not work out too well. And even when he goes into the survival challenge later on, that doesn't go too well for him either. So again, I don't know why people are so eager to sacrifice themselves in this game. D-Day has now come and gone. Who knows if we get a second D-Day where you have to have more than one bracelet, but they kind of survived this round, and I kind of doubt they'll do it 2 times in a row. But for me, I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you like this move from Jason? All right, let's talk about takeaway number 4, the survival challenge. The survival challenge this time was a memory challenge where they had 15 items inside of a crate that they had a minute to look at, and then they had to write all of it down on a list, and then whoever got the most would win this challenge. For me personally, I actually took a bit of a stab at it myself. I always take notes for these shows, so I always have a notepad and a pen with me in any case. And I came up with about 11, and I definitely had less than 60 seconds looking at that. So I'm surprised at how many people struggled out there to memorize these different items. I guess if you're out there and you've got the pressure with everybody watching you, you've got food deprivation and things like that, it does play a role in your ability to actually remember all of these things. And I'm sure it would be a lot harder when you're there opposed to watching it on TV. So I'd like to know, did anybody else play this game at home as well to see how many they would have gotten? But I like this survival challenge. I like the fact that they're bringing the food in and that there was these extra stakes involved with whoever who would win this challenge. They would take the food back to camp, which would bolster their resources a little bit. And obviously, prior to this, I already had a feeling that Jack was going to come out victorious because they had this whole scene around him where he went back to talk to his good old mate Tones or Tony. And they spoke about the fact that they kind of got this strong bond, almost like brothers or like a father and a son, and he didn't want to let him down going out there. And I've got to say, I'm actually quite happy for Jack. I'm really enjoying Jack. I don't think Jack was the most socially aware last episode when he took shots at Log Camp. And again, in this episode, early on, there was even talks between him and Doc about going and eating food in front of Log Camp. Like, why? Like, why would you want to put yourself in danger for no reason? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't mind people being petty because, it makes for funny TV. But if you're a competitor, why would you want to do that to yourself? But I do like Jack, and I do like the fact that he does know how to go and fish and hunt. So this was a massive win for Vine Camp. At the end, they lost 8 people, which means less food that they need to divide between all of them. Plus, they got the extra food coming back, and they got their hunter fishermen coming back as well. So, Vine Camp came out of this not too bad, even though I do like the fact that Corey took a direct stab at them. And I think that he should have done that because they were never going to negotiate with Log Camp. I do think that they have some wins from this episode as well. All right, takeaway number 5 here. One of the things that I really enjoyed of this episode was that there was no begging. We didn't have that opportunity for people to go around and beg to stay in the game because that gets uncomfortable after a while, and I feel a bit icky about the fact that people are in danger and then these people don't care about it in any case and they give the bracelet to whoever they want. So I like the fact that that was taken out of it. I like the fact that 8 people were going to leave no matter what. And I also like the fact that no one else quit for the second episode in a row. So that to me now, I'm getting excited about the show because it seems that the people that are there, they're willing to suffer. They're willing to go the distance when other people previously took the road of leaving. And I know some people might listen to this and might even maybe people that have quit may listen to this and say, hey, Chris, you don't understand. You weren't there. I wasn't there. But I've also seen a lot of other people struggle, like Survivor 44, Survivor, the new era. Like they don't get food, they don't hardly get rewards, and they're there for a lot longer than what we've seen so far from people being out on the island. I just think that this is an element of a lot of those people not really knowing what they sign up for. Maybe they thought that they would behind the scenes still get food to make a good TV show, or they would be taken to an hotel or something. And it really just sunk in that no, this show is real when they got out there. But I'm really enjoying the fact that people are now getting their head in the game as we get to the end game here. That's my thoughts and takeaways here for episode 7. Let me know your thoughts and takeaways. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Please consider subscribing and be sure to tune in later this week when Maki and Kahuna do their full recap and review of this week's action on $1 Million Island. But for now, thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.